This is the Break Live. Welcome to a morning of context, analysis, and perspective. Live here on Dominion Television, Ibadan.
All right. Good morning, Samson.
Good to be back.
Definitely.
It's a fresh week. It's a brand new week, and definitely there are brand new stories on the pages of the newspaper for us to examine this morning.
Exactly.
And that's going to be interesting. But the most interesting one was yesterday evening. There was a particular story that broke, and that's coming from the Nnpcl boss, by Ojulari, who said, look, you know, we were just wasting money on the Nigerian refineries, and it was just the right thing to do to stop production right now, because we don't even know if we are going to break even or we are just we'll keep wasting money. And that raised a lot of questions. Yeah. That does it mean that so many people have been at the helms of affairs at the NNPC before now, knew what was going on, and they kept pumping money into these refineries just for what you call makeover arrangements, just for people to make believe anyway, so that people will believe, oh, we have a refinery. Whereas in the real sense of it, we can't say we have refineries that are not functioning to optimal capacity.
Honestly, I think we've been expecting something like this from him, especially, looking at him. He's been saying a lot about those old refineries compared to the other, GMDs that we have seen in the past. And a particular energy consultant was on national TV, just recently. I'm talking about Nnpcl, and he said that the previous GMDs, should be jailed. According to him, he said they should be jailed because, only by Ojulari, came out very plainly to tell the people that, okay, we have been wasting money on these refineries, and of course, we should do something about it. And I think he even initiated, halting, all production. Say, we need to put a stop to all of this because we are not seeing the result. He said, we don't need an angel to tell us. It's just simple economics. Kamas will tell you about accumulation. If you invest 1 million in the business today, and maybe at the end of a month, maybe there's a profit of maybe 250,000 or 300,000. For you to make enough money, you need to reinvest that profit again in that business, and that's how you make profit. But
that's how your business grows.
That's how it grows. You are only beckoning to wealth. By the time you keep investing that money, it will get to a point in time you can even withdraw out of that business and invest in another business, because you'll be able to build that business, to that extent. But looking at the refineries of Nigeria, we've just been pumping money. According to reports now, from 2010 to 2023, we've spent about 11 trillion naira on these 4 refineries. Is that not really sad? And we are not, I don't think we've been able to produce, how many liters of fuel have we been able to produce? That will benefit Nigeria. But Ojulari also said that whether you like Dangote or not, he's been able to save us from this mess. I recall there was a time when Dangote was having issues with all other sectors in the country. He said he had no idea that there are cabals in the oil industry, and he had to face them. And then, if not because he's a man of influence, he's a billionaire, he has money. Just look at it now. Maybe maybe an ordinary person decides to just build this refinery. Do you think the person would have been able to succeed with that refinery? Because Dangote himself said he faced a lot of issues trying to make sure that this refinery will work. So it's a problem. I don't know what is going on in the country. Why is it that we keep paying salaries? These people are getting salaries, we are wasting money, and then we are not seeing any result at all. Atiku tweeted recently, he said he has called for the privatization of the refinery, not once, not twice, but then nothing has been done about it. Well, it depends on the government of the day to decide whether they want to privatize it. Even according to Ojulari, there was a time, not once, not twice, people were calling for let's sell off these refineries. I recall it was even more intense last year, because people were asking, why do we have these refineries if they're not working? Let's just sell them off. So I don't know whether that will be the end of, maybe that will be the last, what do I call it now? Maybe that will be the last option now, because looking at what is going on, he has come out to say we are just wasting money, we are not seeing result of whatever it is that is going on, across those, refineries, in the various states that we have them. It's a problem, and I don't know, I think it's a systemic problem to see that, the past GMDs have not said a lot about what is going on, only for this recent one to now say we have been wasting money. At this point in time, the government of the day must now decide what should we do about this refineries. This one is not even debatable. We need to stop pumping money into those refineries, honestly.
Well, when you talk about huge public spending with little returns, I think the NNPC, before it became Nnpcl, has a lot of questions to answer. And Nigeria, of course, Nigeria as a country spent trillions of naira trying to rehabilitate refineries, and that still barely produce fuel as we speak. There was a time You know, someone raised an issue about Nigerian refineries when it was said to be active, and some said, look, they are sending fuel to these refineries and then pumping it out. So it's not like it is actually active. They are just trying to make sure that there's a make-believe that these refineries are active. And, you know, recently, I think that was in late 2025, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, wrote off some debts of the Nnpcl. And some people ask questions about what exactly happened to these monies, right? Okay, if you are saying you are writing off debts, who spent those monies? Where did it go? Were there monies that were spent on the refinery that was not accounted for? Or were there fuel that were you know, produced and then nobody could really say where those monies actually went? You could remember one of the challenges Nigeria even had was bunkering, oil bunkering, right? Even if the refineries, you know, if they refine and then it is being sent to different locations, there are some people, Nigerians, who will go to the pipeline, bust the pipeline, and then, you know, scoop fuel and then go away with it. And at the point, people were asking questions. What exactly is happening? Does it mean that you don't know who are doing these things? Does it mean that there are no drones to be deployed to know exactly where these things are being done? I could remember that was about 7 or 8 years ago. A particular man was said to have been apprehended, and then about 7 to 8 gas stations were actually retrieved from that person, all in the name of, you know, practicing bunkering. So Nigeria has gone through a phase of waste. Should we now go back to the drawing board and say, look, we cannot afford to continue to waste resources. Let's try as much as possible to make sure that every penny counts. At least we know exactly where these monies are being spent and where they're being channeled to. It's a lot when we talk about what is going on with the Nigerian refineries. But then, there was an attempt to sell these refineries, because I could remember you made a point about, should we even sell these refineries and say, look, Nigeria does not have a refinery, but we have people in Nigeria who are going to form a competitive market if we sell these refineries for them. Yes, Dangote has saved Nigeria of a lot of mess, because by now we'll be solely relying on imported fuel. But Dangote now has a refinery. And then I think Abdurrahman Abdurabiu also has one going on in Akwa Ibom. There are several modular refineries, especially in Edo, Delta, also filling the void at this time, in the absence of Nigerian-owned refineries. But then, if all these ones are sold off, I could remember it happened that was early 2000 when this issue of privatization came on board, that some government facilities should be privatized, and that includes the PHCN and yes, PHCN now that have now became IBDC and so many other things, and the EKDC. People complained about it, and then I think that was during the Umar Musa Yar'Adua administration. Monies were paid, and eventually, well, probably there were meetings behind closed door, and then monies were returned back to people who actually tried to buy these refineries. And lo and behold, this same person that tried to buy the Nigerian refineries now has his own refinery, bigger than any refinery you can think of in Africa. And that tells you a lot about him when it comes to resilience and determination to actually achieve some things. He knew where the country was going to. It was heading for ruins when we talk about Nigerian refineries, and he knew where to capitalize on. Now he has a refinery, bailing Nigeria out, bailing Nigerians out, and bailing other African countries out. Should we now go back, just like you said, should we consider selling all these refineries and know that Nigeria does not have a refinery? So if we want to build another one, we can now start from scratch.
Okay, I think it's a good angle to actually leave it, because according to Mr. Boy Ojulari himself, he mentioned certain reasons why the refineries never worked. He said to make a refinery work, you need 3 things: financing, a competent EPC contractor, and world-class operational capacity. Historically, we focused on the first 2 and ignored the third. The system was designed for everyone to take from it, not to put anything into it. Imagine, we've had past, GMDs, a lot of them. So why is it that they never said anything, close to this? So that, I mean, imagine if they've been talking. Maybe we would have found a solution to all of this now. But then it's never too late to actually correct the wrong. So at this point in time, we now should look at what is best for the country. Should we sell it off? Okay, selling it off now, where do we reinvest the money? I think that's another area to look at. Where do we reinvest the money if we should sell off the refineries? We have 4 of them. Where do we invest the money? And how do we ensure that when we sell them off, the money will be used for something else that is better?
Well, I think it's a lot to undo, especially with Nigerians who don't really trust the Nigerian government to actually do the right thing. I could remember the issue of privatization came on board. I think that was late 2007, while President Olusegun Obasanjo was trying to round off his tenure as president, 8 years president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And questions were raised about so many facilities that were going moribund, and they were really performing up to expectation. And then these refineries were sold. I think that was in 2007. But when Umaru Musa Yar'Adua came on board as president at that time, there was a reversal. And people were asking questions shortly after taking over as president. Why did you do this? Yes, he had good intentions. He probably wanted to, make sure that all these refineries go back to the actual place, working to optimal capacity, maybe rebuild and upgrade to world class and, world standard. But unfortunately, he could not do it because he passed away while being president. And that became the beginning of an end of these refineries. Because since then, you mentioned something. Nigerians don't want too much. They want to be told the truth, whether it is hard to listen to, whether it's a bitter pill to swallow. They just want to know this is the right thing, because we know that Nigerians know the right thing, right? Some of them might just not want to do it, but they know exactly where this thing is heading to. They just want, okay, these refineries are no longer, in good working conditions. Let's dispose them, and then let's see what exactly we want to do. Then where do we channel all these monies? Is a very big question. Should we now build one singular refinery that serves every Nigerian? Another question that people will now ask you is, where do we put this refinery? In the southwest, in the southeast, south-south, in the north? I think someone came on this show and said, look, why do you have a refinery in a place like Kaduna that has no oil? It's a very big question. When we start practicing the issue of federal character, the south must have, the north must have, the east must have. It's a good thing, provided it makes sense. But then if it gets to a stage where you cannot really explain why some things are being done, you can imagine when crude is done in the Niger Delta. It is now channeled through a pipeline to the north to be refined in the Kaduna refinery. You can look at the cost of pumping. Then after it is pumped to Kaduna, refined, it is pumped back again. It's a very big question about how efficient are we when it comes to managing resources. Because eventually, when you are pumping, you are not getting the exact amount when it's coming back. So what exactly are we doing to make sure that every penny counts, just like I said earlier, and that Nigerians can now truly believe and trust the government that, yes, what we are doing now is the right thing. And I must say for a fact that this administration has done something that is crystal clear to everyone now. That whether you like it or not, we are going to tell you what you need to hear. And not just about us trying to tell you things that suit you, that will massage your ego. We just want you to know that this is the situation of things. When the president came on board, he said, look, the fuel subsidy is gone, because it was not even provided for by the last administration. And we cannot continue to pay this subsidy. Yes, it became something really hard for Nigerians to believe. They could not really adjust to the situation of things at the time. But people are beginning to forget about fuel subsidy now. They are talking about something else, which is good governance. If you have taken this money away from us, what are you giving us in return? It's a very big one. And I think this administration knows how to answer that question. Now, they have come out to say, look, these refineries, all of them that have been in power before now, they have told you we are working on it. We are spending so amount of money. You can imagine when $16 billion was spent on power in Nigeria and we still do not have power. It's a big question. And how much have we spent on the refineries that we are still not getting what we should get as a country? So the question now is, you have told us, yes, these refineries are no longer in good condition. What exactly do you want to do with this? With it? Are you also going back to where others also left off, where they spent monies on the refinery? Okay, should we go about? Usually, there's something that infuriates me about these refineries. They will say we are going through turnaround rehabilitation. I think that's the usual word. But these refineries have refused to turn around. For how many years? How long are we going to continue to deceive Nigerians in the name of trying to make sure that they do not feel angered about what is going on within the Nigerian ecosystem? We should be clear about ideas. This is exactly what is going on. Be truthful, be honest about it. And then how do we go about it? Should we now call experts and say, look, give us ideas about what exactly we should do about this refinery? Okay,
speaking about expert now, I love to say one thing. When you meet people who have results, swallow your pride,
and talk to them.
Ask questions. Dangote is doing it and he's doing it so well. And of course, now he's been the one saving us from a lot of mess now that would
Right.
have happened, without his own refinery working properly. This expert, walk up to him, ask him questions, meet with his engineers, what are they doing differently? What are we not getting right? This is the best way to go. But I don't know what is going on. I don't know why it's so difficult to walk up to these people in the position to ask them questions about how they can make the refineries work. So at this point in time, I recall that around 2021, 2022, Tompolo busted some areas because you were talking about the system now. They were, I don't know how they were doing it, but there was a way they were trying to extract fuel, and then they were doing all sorts of illegal things, in that area. But later, after then, I don't think we heard so much about the areas. Recently, I think another area was busted too. So can we begin to look at, areas like that too? And apart from that, can we work on the system? Ojulari said something. He said the system is designed to take from it, not to add anything to. Is that not a problem in itself? Can we break that down? Can we begin to look at the system? Why is it that, people are collecting so some amount of money, is allocated to that refinery, each of them, and we are not seeing results. And then people are comfortable of collecting salary and nothing is working.
Well, if you are talking about the Nnpcl, I think they are still better off. You really have to consider the Ajaokuta still rolling. And you could, it will be surprising to you that some people wake up in the morning, suit up, get in their cars, and go to Ajaokuta still rolling and say, we are going to work. And absolutely nothing is happening there. You see, it's disastrous to know that the idea that government has no business in business is really killing the Nigerian system, right? People think, yes, it's the government's money. It's, they call it national cake. So let me have a bite, or maybe run away with the cake. That's the idea. So what you will do as an individual, you might be advocating for due process. Let things be done the way it should be done. But there are people out there who really do not care whether Nigeria collapses or doesn't collapse. As long as they feed fat on the Nigerian people, they are okay. You can imagine some people are said to be sabotaging the power sector because they are the major importers of generator into Nigeria. So you are leaving generation wealth to your families. But you should know that not all of them will have access to these funds you are leaving, right? So you are still creating a disaster waiting to happen. Why not join hands together and fix Nigeria as a country? Because that's the only way everyone will benefit. As long as we continue to run Nigeria the way we are running it, like it's just a one-man business, so someone can just say, oh, the idea is there's someone at the top and there are cabals. Okay, so they come together, have a meeting on how to share Nigeria and how to share the resources, and then once that is done, they leave Nigerians to suffer for it. But if we are to do the right thing, all we have to do is that Nigerians are not asking for too much. I've always said this over and over again. They just want to be sure that the government is doing the right thing. As long as it benefits them, as long as they can put food on their table, as long as there's shelter, there's good road, you can bet with me if all these are done, nobody will complain about governance. They just want to be sure that you are doing what you should be doing, your responsibility. People, yes, revolted about tax payment. The thing the government is not looking at, yes, they have been talking about, they are going to take money away from our bank accounts, they are going to take tax from us. What they are worried about is, even if I pay this money to you, what exactly are you going to do with it? Is it going to end up in someone's bank account? Is it going to end in, somewhere around St. Neves and Kitts, or somewhere, an island somewhere where someone buys an estate and then keeps it there for his family to inherit when he's long gone? The idea is, if we are giving you this money, we will pay tax. But what exactly will you do with it? It's a very big question. Once the government can answer that question, then we can move forward.
And of course, we need to start, looking for how to make good use of information, because this is not the first time that quite a number of revelations will come out about this Nnpcl. So what are we going to do with the information that we have in our hands now? It's up to the government, because at the end of the day, if they don't do anything good with it, another GMD will come in and then they will still come and talk about the fact that our refineries are as good as useless. So it will still remain the same thing if nothing is done using this information that we have in our hands, really.
Well, one thing is clear. When there is going to be a solution to any problem, the first thing is to understand there's a problem, right? There is a usual saying that you have to understand you have a problem, you have to take charge and take care of the problem. Now, they now know that we do not have refineries in Nigeria. They have gone moribund. It's going to end up in a waste, because if we continue to pump money into these refineries, there will be problem. We'll continue to waste money. Bayo Ojulari has said that, and it is crystal clear. Now, let's take charge of the problem. What exactly are we to do? This is the phase where you find solution. What should we do? And then when you take care, you already know the solution, and then you have acted upon it. That's the whole idea. So it's a triple T idea. Take note, take care, and take charge. Once you know all of this, I think we'll move forward from here. But Bayo Ojulari has an idea of what the problem is. Let him provide solution. And maybe advise the government on, yes, this is the problem. I am quite sure that before he came out to make such a bold statement, he must have had a closed-door meeting with the president.
Definitely.
I said, look, President, I must be honest with you, we do not have refineries in Nigeria.
And we need more blunt people in this country.
Like that,
people
who can actually come out and say,
look for ways to actually say, okay, maybe you can say when it's not working, we need more blunt people that can tell it to us, okay, this is what we can do, it's not working. The resources are scarce. I mean, look at every other sector in the country that is suffering because of lack of resources.
Well, Bayo Ojulari should also be aware that from now on, he will be hated by so many people for coming out to say your source of income has been blocked. Because some people are feeding fat on the fact that, oh, let's do turnaround maintenance. You are maintaining something. And it is ending up in a loss for the country. What are you maintaining, for crying out loud? It is crystal clear. As an engineer, you have been called to work on a particular, refinery or probably an installation. And you know that no matter how much you spend on this particular installation, it's still going to end up it's an effort in futility. Why not be clear about it? Look, we have done your maintenance, but just note that in the next 2 or 3 years, you don't bother to spend money on this refinery. But because we are selfish people, you want to make more money. You are putting your invoice forward, and then you are getting paid for maintaining a facility that will never benefit the Nigerian people, and you claim to be working. You are not doing the right thing. You are doing yourself a disservice, and you are doing your children a disservice for cheating the country, for cheating the Nigerian people. I think it is totally, it's an aberration. It should not be done. We should begin to inculcate the habit of understanding that when it gets to a stage, you put the money you want to make aside, and you'll be blunt about it. Look, I don't take this money because I know that even if I take this money, it's not going to work. Just be clear.
I mean, he's called that, okay, let's put the odds to all this maintenance and spend. So it's up to the government to now decide if they want to keep pumping money into that.
Then you will be sure that, yes, it's the government.
We can now decide, okay, this is where the problem is coming from.
Well, it's a fine place to leave it anyway. And, I'm quite sure that the president understands what this is all about.
Right.
For him to be so sure that our fuel subsidy is gone, and he made that statement on his first day as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is one. Two, for some of his kitchen cabinet to come out and say, look, this is the situation of things, and they are being clear about it. Being bold is very good, and being blunt is also understandable. They will make enemies, but be sure that this is the way forward. Once you know that we have a way forward, there's a path, let's follow it.
Don't make enemies in vain. Let
right.
let it count for something.
Let it count for something. All right, it's a fine place to leave that particular one this morning. And it is time to take weather report, and we'll help you navigate through the day.